Welcome to Honeybee, real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. Have you ever looked at the person you love and thought, we survived the worst? That was me. I believe we were stronger than ever, sharing quiet mornings, planning weekend trips, laughing like we used to. But behind her smile, behind those small moments of happiness, she was hiding something. And when I discovered the truth, it wasn't just a betrayal that shattered me. It was how perfectly she had convinced me that everything was fine. To anyone watching from the outside, we looked like the perfect couple, like the storms in our marriage had passed. But storms often leave cracks behind. Cracks you can't see until they break wide open. I had convinced myself we were good. Not perfect, but who is? There was a certain comfort in our routine. Morning kisses, dinner conversations, her laughter filling the house. It all felt so real. Then came the conversation that changed everything. A close friend, someone I'd trust with my life, asked me if I had noticed anything unusual about my wife. I brushed it off, even laughed, telling him we were doing great. But then he looked me dead in the eye and said, I saw her. She was with someone else. At first, I refused to believe him. Why would I? We had fought so hard to rebuild what we had. But the look on his face, the kind of look you get when you know something you wish you didn't, made my stomach turn. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying moments from the past few months, and the pieces started falling into place, forming a picture I didn't want to see. I promised myself I'd confront her the next morning. So, after breakfast and after we dropped the kids at school, I asked her directly. I told her what I'd heard and asked if it was true. She looked straight into my eyes and denied it, calmly, without even blinking. That's ridiculous, she said, brushing off like a joke. I didn't push too hard that morning. I simply told her, if there's something you need to tell me, now is the time. Over the next few days, I noticed her becoming more guarded. She kept her phone closer, even taking it to the bathroom. The signs were adding up, and the doubt in my mind was growing louder. A week later, I confronted her again, this time directly. I know something is going on, I said. I need the truth. At first, she denied again, saying I was just being paranoid. But I stayed calm. I refused to let her sidestep my questions. And that's when she broke. She admitted she had been seeing someone, a co-worker. For a moment, I couldn't even speak. She swore it wasn't serious, promised, and immediately said it was just a mistake. And as much as it hurt, I wanted to believe her. I loved her. I wanted to keep our family together. So I agreed to work on things, on one condition. She had to cut ties with him completely. We started going to counseling. I poured my heart out in every session, sharing how betrayed I felt, but also how much I still loved her. Outside therapy, we spent more time together, date nights, movie marathons, even weekend getaways. She seemed committed. She would hold my hand, look into my eyes, and tell me she was sorry. For a while, it felt like we were healing. The laughter returned. The late-night talks returned. I let myself believe we had turned a corner, but I was wrong. I was the only one who had truly moved on. She hadn't let him go. Not really. One afternoon, she stepped outside to water the garden and left her phone on the counter. It buzzed, lighting up with a notification. The name on the screen read, Work Consultant. I shouldn't have, but I glanced at the message preview. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, babe. My breath caught. The word babe echoed in my head. I checked through the window to make sure she was still outside, then picked up the phone. She had never changed her password. What I found confirmed my worst fear. The messages weren't just friendly. They were intimate, detailed, full of plans and memories they shared. Memories I thought were part of her busy schedule. She was supposed to have ended things. She swore she had. But all she did was change his name in her phone. Anger hit me first, sharp and hot. I wanted to march outside, shove the phone in her face, demand answers. But then sadness came heavy and suffocating. I had tried so hard to forgive, to rebuild, to move forward for the sake of our marriage, and she had still chosen to betray me. I realized that confronting her in anger wouldn't fix anything. She had already shown me who she really was. It was up to me to decide what to do with that truth. So I made a choice. Instead of confronting her, I quietly began preparing for the end. She didn't know I had discovered everything. My silence became my advantage. I put the phone back exactly where I found it and sat down. And in that moment, I felt a strange sense of clarity. In my heart, the marriage was over, even if it wasn't official yet. I met with a divorce lawyer 3 times. Each meeting focused on protecting what mattered most, my finances and my kids. First, we secured the house, so she couldn't claim it in the divorce. Then we documented everything about my time with the kids, their routines, their stability, everything I could use to protect them. Finally, I moved most of our savings into an account she couldn't access. This was revenge. It was survival. At home, I stayed calm. I watched her quietly. When I saw her smiling at her phone one night, I didn't ask who it was. I just made a mental note. I stopped trying to connect emotionally. Her late-night phone calls, her business dinners, none of it mattered anymore. I kept my face neutral, my voice even. Every interaction became measured, controlled. I had already started saying goodbye in my head. I updated my will, removed her as a beneficiary, sold a few joint investments, and moved the funds into my account. I planned for life after divorce, where I would live, how I would manage my finances, everything. Then came the night I finally ended it. Dinner was quiet, as usual. She had set the table nicely, grilled chicken, mashed potatoes, vegetables. To an outsider, we might look like a happy couple sharing a peaceful evening. But I carried the weight of everything I knew. When she finished telling me about her day, I set my fork down, looked at her, and said, "We need to finalize the divorce by Friday." I said it calmly, almost casually, like we were discussing weekend plans. Her smile disappeared. She froze, her fork midair. What are you talking about?" she stammered. I leaned back, keeping my composure. "I've been thinking about this for a long time. We've been living a lie. It's time we end it." Her face went pale. I could see her mind racing, trying to figure out how much I knew. She started to deny everything. "I don't understand what's wrong. Why are you doing this?" But I stayed steady. "You do understand. I know you've still been in contact with him. I saw the messages." Her eyes widened. She tried again. "It's not what you think. Those messages are old. Don't lie to me." I cut her off, my voice sharp but controlled. "I gave you the chance to end it. You said you did. I believed you, but you didn't stop." She fell silent, panic in her eyes. "I've been preparing for this." I continued. "While you were pretending everything was fine, I was getting ready for the truth. The papers are ready. You have until Friday to sign them." Tears filled her eyes. She reached for my hand, begging, promising to end it for real this time. But I pulled my hand back. "You already made your choice," I said. "This isn't something I can forgive." She broke down, sobbing. But I felt no anger, no sympathy, just clarity. This was the right decision. That night, I stayed in the guest room. Through the wall, I heard her murmuring on the phone, calling him, begging, I imagined, hoping he'd step up. But I knew better. I had looked into who he really was months ago. He wasn't the type to stay when things got serious. The next morning, she sat on the edge of the bed staring at her phone, her usual routine forgotten. I didn't say a word. I knew what had happened. He hadn't answered her calls. Later that day, I overheard her on the phone again, angrier this time, shouting at him to just call her back. She was unraveling. That Friday night, she screamed at me through tears. "Why are you leaving me?" I stayed calm. "You made your choice." And so did he. Her face crumbled. She looked vulnerable, but not in a way that made me want to stay. She had burned every bridge, and now she was alone. For me, it was validating. I had doubted myself for so long, wondered if I was overreacting. But seeing her crumble under the truth reminded me I was right to trust my instincts. She thought she was playing a game she could win. She thought I'd be too weak to leave. She thought he'd be her backup plan. But she was wrong about all of it. I wasn't free yet, but I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I held on to that hope. This divorce wasn't just about ending a marriage. It was about protecting my kids, my future, my peace of mind. I had done everything I could to prepare. Now I just had to follow through. I imagined the life ahead, a home without tension, a morning without betrayal weighing me down, a place where my kids could feel safe. It wouldn't be easy. Divorce is never just paperwork. It's the closing of a chapter that shaped my life. But I was ready to turn the page and start again one step at a time. If the court saw the truth, if everything went my way, I'd finally have the fresh start I deserved. And I could focus on being the father my kids needed, free from the weight of a broken marriage.